Welcome to another England debrief. I'm Adrian Durham and we're at Wembley Stadium after Lee Carsley's first game in charge here at Wembley Stadium. With me for the debrief as ever, it is our England commentator on talkSPORT, Jim Proudfoot, and our England legend on talkSPORT, Stuart Pearce. Stuart, I'll start with you. England got the win. It's another clean sheet and so far it's so good for Lee Carsley. Can't complain, can we?
We certainly can't, no. As I say, the clean sheet will be very pleasing to him. The fact that we've got 4 goals over the 2 games, 6 points, he'll be delighted with that. And an improvement game on game, I think. I think we look more fluid tonight. We're more aggressive with our play tonight than we were consistently against Ireland at the weekend.
I think we've got to look at the context of the game as well, Jim, because Finland came to Wembley to defend, and boy did they do that. It was very frustrating. England got there in the end, but you know, when you get relegated in the Nations League, this is the kind of opposition you're going to face, and they are going to defend, and England had to be patient.
Absolutely, because the reality of the situation is that we saw it from Ireland, we've seen it from Finland tonight. There's no other way for them to play against England, because with no disrespect, there are very few of their players who get into the England team, if any, so they can't out-football England. That would just be a suicide mission, so they've got to play like that. And Finland defended very well. They played much better tonight than they had against Greece. The defensive cohesion was there, and it hadn't been in that match of the weekend. So England, it's been an Achilles heel for a long time, predating Gareth Southgate by many years. Finding a way to be able to break down sides that sit deep and defend against you in a compact manner, something that England have never really been able to find that magic recipe. There were signs there tonight that it could be coming. It could be coming. It was a better second half performance than first, but I think that was a confidence once Harry Kane had scored his first goal, and that once they got the breakthrough, it then made it easier to sort of keep the foot on the jugular, which we hadn't seen at the weekend. So that was a definite improvement.
Yeah, it was frustrating that the Finland keeper had been terrible against Greece at the weekend, then produced a worldy performance tonight and was keeping England out for long periods. But in the end, Stuart Pearce, Harry Kane, 100th cap. What a night for him, and he gets 2 goals, and the first was really special. It was a hell of a hit, wasn't it?
Well, it certainly was. I mean, firstly, let me touch on the 100 caps. Some achievement, it really is. And he's on circa 60 odd goals as well to go with his 100 caps. Wonderful, wonderful achievement by him. The first goal, incredible. Manipulated the ball where he wanted it. Dispatched it with violence. Goalkeeper, no chance at all. Off the underside of the bar. Just what we needed. A for him, the 100th cap, marking that. More importantly, it broke the deadlock as well.
Yeah, and he probably could have had a hat-trick had Lee Carsley kept him on. I was gutted when Carsley took him off. There was one flashed across the 6-yard box after his 2 goals. He was already off the pitch, watching it from the bench. Even he would have thought, I would have been there for the tap-in. What a night that would have been. But special for him anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was fitting that he marked such an extraordinary achievement with a couple of goals, and they weren't just tap-ins. And the second goal was good enough, but the first was really something special. And his record is unbelievable. His record against sides ranked outside the top 50 in the world, and you'd say, okay, you'd expect him to rattle up the goals, but he's way over a goal a game in those matches. It's something like 42 in 32 games against sides ranked outside the top 50. And we've talked about England needing at times moments of inspiration. Those moments of inspiration actually come with relative frequency. If you look back over the summer, when England needed moments, they got them from Bellingham, from Kane himself, from Ollie Watkins. Now they've had another one tonight where Harry Kane has produced something that little bit special. It happens so regularly that, you know, maybe that is part of the game plan, that England know that they've got the game changers and they know that they have players who can produce something special. Harry Kane certainly one, and that was his best performance for England for quite some time, I would say. Not just the quality of goals, but his movement, his link-up play was better than it has been. I mean, he's talked about his performances in the summer. Don't need to reiterate that. But I thought that was more the Harry Kane that we know and love tonight.
In analysing it on the radio, Stuart, on talkSPORT, you were talking about other things that Harry Kane possibly could have done in the first half. It wasn't exactly a fierce criticism of Harry Kane, it was just things that he might have done to help open up Finland a bit more.
Yeah, I just felt as though, and probably because in my playing career, for me to open up defences coming from deep line position, I always needed a centre forward to plant himself and receive the ball to feet so I could run off him. And looking at some of our players, it would have given us another option, if you like. When Saka and Gordon pick the ball up in these wide areas, they're faced up by a fullback, can they manipulate the ball inside and shove it into a centre forward's feet? I think that option, if that was on a little bit more readily, it would have been helpful. And midfield players that were running, give and goes off the centre forward. And not just Harry Kane, maybe more advanced players that ended up in that area, Grealish and maybe Deck, that got into those advanced areas to turn around and offer themselves as a bounce pass, a wall pass, if you like.
Let's talk about the midfield makeup, because Angel Gomez, it was brilliant tonight. He was superb. Black boots, I love that about him. He's 5'4", 5'5", and it doesn't matter because he's so good on the ball. It kind of makes me wonder at the back of my mind, how on earth did Man United let this kid go? Because he is really good. He's possibly going to keep Kobbie Mainoo out of the England team. He's been that good in these 2 games. What was it about his performance that you particularly liked, Jim?
The confidence, the swagger, the positional sense, the eye for a pass, the fact that he looked as though he'd played 30 or 40 England games and not 15 minutes in an international shirt. I think he's probably got the confidence because he knows he's got a manager that trusts him. He hasn't got to come in, he hasn't been brought in from the cold, and he's got to impress Lee Carsley because he's already done that. So that's not a free pass, but it means that it will be a dimension of your England debut taken away, because you're not all of a sudden thinking, if I don't get this right, if I don't get this next pass right, I could be out. This could be my one and only start for England, because he knows he's got a manager that trusts him, that has shown great faith in him, that knows his abilities. That probably helps him. But I just thought he was fantastic, and what he does with his positional understanding, he allows Declan Rice that little bit more freedom to be able to push forward as an orthodox 8. And as you've mentioned a few times in the games on talkSPORT, Angel isn't a player that is tied to that one position. He can play anywhere in the midfield. So we've seen how good he is as a 6 tonight, but the reality is that he could be every bit as good as an 8 if he's pushed forward, and he's just got that versatility that maybe some of England's other central midfielders don't have. I just thought, so assured. It was an outstanding debut, one of the best that I can remember.
And I think as well, that midfield makeup, Stuart, I think it's a really important point that Jim's just made there. When you've got real football intelligence at right back and left back, Lewis was at left back today, Trent at right back, they're coming into midfield when they need to come into midfield and doing what they need to do, understanding when they need to do that and what they need to do. It adds to the midfield. And the point about Declan Rice being more advanced, we've seen that in these 2 games under Lee Carsley. It's an important point to make.
Well, I think we've bulked on over a couple of years, and even when
Have we barked on?
I think there's been a fair bit of
talking about
barking.
myself, really, barking more than you two. Even when I've been at West Ham, I've always felt there's more for Deck, to show us a bit more, show us, the fact you can get in the box, show us shoot and score goals. And I think that getting that balance, the 3-player balance, the holder, the advanced and the advanced number 10, if you like, is so important to get the best out of each other. And Jim made a brilliant point there, the fact that Gomez coming in then has enabled Deck to get forward and play more forward and play on the front foot, and I think that's brilliant. And also as well, Gomez has played the position by playing forward passes that hurt the opposition, and I love that about deep line midfield players.
Wide players were an interesting topic of conversation tonight. Noni Madueke, when he came on, we spoke to him, Faker Others spoke to him on talkSPORT Live after the game. Listen, he's so confident, you can just see it in the way he plays. He's a confident and smiling player. He's happy playing football, but he made a significant contribution to the second goal as well. Terrific tonight, I thought.
Oh, I totally agree. When he comes on, he gets on the front foot. He wants to run at defenders with and without the ball. He's a real handful. Now, Lee Carsley, what he's got now, he's got an abundance of players within this squad. We got no Foden, no Bellingham tonight, by the way, no Watkins tonight, no Palmer tonight. It's incredible, the players that are not here, let alone what's here. Now, the key for him going forward, and any England manager basically, get the formula right. You know, if players are not playing well, put them in. You might have to play a lesser player, if you like, because the balance is better, you know, and that is the key.
One of the things we talked about at the Euros was, particularly towards the end of the tournament, it looked like Bellingham and Foden, and during the Euros we were mentioning Kane, less so now, but Bellingham and Foden were undroppable, that they had to be in the starting 11. It's a different manager, different regime. They don't have to be in the starting 11, but do you expect them, if they're available in October, do you expect them to come back in?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Into the 11?
Yes, absolutely. I think that England football fans would question Lee Carsley if you've got two world-class talents. I know that the old adage about changing a winning side, I don't think that's as prevalent in international football when you've got a month between games. I think Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden are there. You want to see them. I want to see what Lee Carsley can get out of those two generational talents, because they haven't always been able to consistently provide their best football in an England shirt. So I want to see if Lee Carsley can get that out of them. So I would hope that if their form justifies it when they're back from their injury and illness respectively, that they are in the side. But I think it's a great point you make about squad depth, and this was probably an extension of something that we've talked about before. England's strength over the last 4 years maybe has been the quality of players 14 to 23 in any given squad is better than nearly any other nation's 14 to 23. I would now extend that further. 14 to 33, 14 to 43 is better than anyone else. That means you're in a position, if you're Lee Carsley, you can genuinely pick players on form week in, week out. Because I don't think in every position there's an awful lot in terms of quality between a lot of your options. So you can genuinely say, well, I've seen you've been ripping it up for your club over the last 2 weeks, so you get the shirt this time. But I think that we've seen with the substitutes, the performances that they've given where they've come on, and a lot of them have improved the displays, and we saw that from Noni Madueke tonight, that you can rely on players off the bench, and that there is an understanding and a cohesion and an interchangeability between players that he can rely on, that he can't think, well, if I bring a player off the bench, he's not going to understand the system. They all look as though everyone knows what everyone is doing at any given point in time. So I think that there are so many positive aspects already. However, short of time Lee's been in charge, and these are all green shoots that can be developed and harvested in the future.
And that's Cole Palmer as well. He knows Cole Palmer very well. So I'm particularly wondering whether Cole Palmer comes in and goes straight into the 11 as well. Well, whichever way you look at it, and whatever decision he makes, if he leaves a certain player out, that's a bit of quality on the bench that he's got to bring on, should he need to bring him on.
Well, what you want as a manager, you don't want to go into any international get-together and have your heart in your mouth every weekend thinking, oh God, I hope I don't lose him, I hope I don't lose him. I still feel as though, in a small way, we've got that with Harry Kane. I would like more options as centre-forwards. I don't know whether centre-forwards have gone out the game, you know, a little bit. We're loaded up with number 10s, we're loaded up with wide players.
You've got to remember, he won the under-21 Euros without a centre-forward.
Yeah, absolutely, playing Cole Palmer in a more advanced role. So now even maybe Harry Kane, for all the fact that we've eulogised about what an extraordinary contribution he's made over 10 years, maybe he's not as indispensable as he once was, because you've got a manager that has experimented with different systems and know that he can play a 4-4-2 with two false nines, one of them being Cole Palmer. So maybe not even Harry is indispensable with the capital I as he always has been.
Totally agree. More options, the better.
Listen, it's on to October when Greece come here. They're top of the group, aren't they?
They are top of the group on goal difference, one better than England at the moment. So they're here next. It's a month tonight, October 10th.
And then we go to Finland. talkSPORT will be there in Helsinki as well. The England debrief will be back then.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.